So I want to confess that the only Gestalt I know is Violet's model, and I am no expert on polyvagal theory, though I'm going to mention it, but I've been reading a lot about it, and I kind of used it in working with this family, particularly with the parents. I found what I found when I was reading it and using it was it seemed as if Violet intrinsically knew it when she was working all those years ago. Yes, that's what I'd like to share with everyone today.
Okay, you ready for the slides?
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Share, pleasure. Let me just, whoopsie. You know how everything shows up on your desktop. One day I'm going to have like a proper way of working.
Okay, so just as
you see these, Seema?
Yeah. Can we go to the next one?
You ready for the next one? Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
So just to say that working with parents is something I love to do, because really, children develop the issues they bring to us in the environment they're in. So I really, parents who will come and interact with us, for me, is a gift. So this 11-year-old girl was, the family was really in a very difficult place. As you can see, this 11-year-old girl was having very disturbing suicidal tendencies, and she would actually go looking for tablets, and the mother would have to keep the cupboard locked, and she was also cutting herself. She would have very severe anger tantrums. She had already been hospitalized a couple of times, and she was on medication. The parents both had a history of severe depression, so severe that they had both had electric shocks. Their attachment history, as one could expect, was traumatic. And right in the beginning, I sensed that the relationship between mother and father was also very strained, and also understandably, dealing with a child that's so disturbed puts a strain on everything else. There's a younger sister, 8 years old, and the maternal grandparents were living with the family. So there was a lot of stress. And can we go to the next slide, Karen, please? Yeah, so I'm not going to describe the work I did with the 11-year-old. I started online, then we had a few sessions in person and went back to online. And I really just used the Oaklander model. I did a lot of aggressive energy work. Something I do for aggressive energy is I have them pull at a stretch fabric. And I remember another thing I did was the cotton blowing exercise that Violet describes. I did that with her, and both of these things would have her laughing. So that's all I'll share with you about that, but because we'll talk more about the work I did with the parents. So right in the beginning, I explained to the parents how kind of systems we pick up stress from each other's brains, and to have for their daughter to have a sense of safety, they needed to feel calm within themselves. And what I was sensing was that they were not feeling safe with each other. So I said for them to decide what they wanted to do. Not that they could have done anything during COVID, make any big change. But given that, what would they, so whatever they decide about their relationship, that then we'd use that to help to support their daughter. So they did have a chat, and they said that they were not in a good place in relation to each other, but that they were going to consciously work on their relationship and kind of support each other more than be wary of each other. Because they said that because of COVID, we can't do anything else. And we realized that, okay, this is having an impact on our daughter. So, most parents, especially in our part of the world, they understand the need for physical safety, but emotional safety, the safety of letting a child just have whatever emotions they're feeling is kind of a new concept. And I'll talk more about that a little later. One of the first things I recommend to parents is this book. It's called Say What You See, and it's written by Sandra Blackard. And it's a power pack of parenting information, which really you can read in 30 to 40 minutes. And it's the most, the time in relation to what you get out of it. It's the best deal. And also on Sandy's website, Language of Listening, you can read it for free. So they can get to it immediately, and it's very simply written. And she describes what she calls the heart model, which I really love. So I had this the parents of this child also read the book, and then often what happens is that they read the book, they understand it, but they have some difficulty in, it's as if something comes in the way of them using it and applying it. So that's when we talk about their attachment history and what's coming in the way, what's coming up for you. So I did a little bit of individual work with each of the parents. While I was working with her, she ended up in hospital again. And, talking through that incident, my kind of hunch was that the hospital, taking her to hospital could really have been avoided. So I said to the daughter and to the parents, like, what if we keep it really simple? And what if our aim is only just not to get into hospital again? What if we do that? And somehow it made sense to them. And and now she's turned a corner. She had to change schools. There was a little bit of a bullying and an exclusion incident, and she changed schools as a result of that. And now, so I have been working regularly with this family for about 6 months. And now she just went back to the old school and wants to join back. So for now, she's doing well. So, Catherine, can we go to the next slide, please? So some of the work I did with the parents was talking to them about polyvagal theory, which is about our autonomic nervous system and how it responds to things that are happening inside of us, outside of us, and between the outside and the inside. And it happens completely out of our awareness. Like our autonomic nervous system responds from a much deeper place than our prefrontal cortex. And I think that they've used this theory to develop what they call the zones of regulation that they use with children, which is basically that the green zone is when we are feeling okay, when we are feeling connected, and when we are feeling safe and connected. And when we are not feeling safe and connected, as life stresses will come at us, and it will definitely happen. There's no way that it won't happen. We get catapulted into either the red zone or the blue zone. And the red zone is the zone of fight or flight, which we're all familiar with. It's the zone of mobilization. And if the challenge is such that we think that either fighting or fleeing will help us, then we go there. And if the challenge is even greater than that, and we can't, fighting or fleeing is not going to help us, then we get into the blue zone, which is the zone of disconnection. We kind of really, really shut down. And so Violet spoke about what brings a child into therapy, and that is not having an impaired sense of self or losing contact with self and environment. And the way I see it, in the zones theory is that the child is not in the green zone and is either in the red or the blue zone. And in polyvagal theory, there's a hierarchy in terms of evolution, and the blue zone is what we share with reptiles, where we pretend to be dead. That's our oldest part of the brain. And then what developed was the red zone, which is the fight or flight zone. And then it's actually the zone in which we are well and safe and connected is the one that developed the latest. And Violet spoke about the I-thou relationship, without which nothing happens. And co-regulation is another of the pillars of polyvagal theory, where we need to constantly be in touch with where our own autonomic nervous system is. And we need to stay in the green zone so that we can help the children we're working with to come back into the green zone. And working with the senses, emotions, and the body, and aggressive energy, and all of that work, I think, brings children back into the green zone, or even parents for that matter. And the self-nurturing work is what expands the green zone. So when I was working with this couple, I had them really look at what was happening with them when they were responding to when their daughter had a tantrum, or when they found out that she was watching pornography, or which zone were they going into, and how could they kind of calm themselves down, and how could they experiment with responding differently to her, and so that they could co-regulate her. And I think because our sessions were not even so regular, they really took what the work that we did together, and they ran with it. And I think that's what really helped the girl do better. And like Violet would always say, that we have to have an awareness of what's coming up for us. And also we have to have simultaneously, we need to be aware of what's going on for the child as well. So, just to give you a very quick example, while I was working with this family, when I learned that, she's been hospitalized again, my heart sank. I really went into the blue zone. And I really had to say to myself that, it feels like a failure in the moment. But let's see what we can learn from this. Let's see what, let me see if I can use it as an opportunity. And I'm really glad to say that it turned out to be a turning point in the work, actually, when we kind of picked that incident apart, and we said, okay, she had the tantrum in the night, you only went to the hospital in the morning. What did they do in the hospital, and what could you have done differently to avoid it. So that was really, really helpful. And yeah, for me to come back into the green zone so that I could help them better. And another thing that happened was, the whole family was struggling so much that one day I decided to do, I'm not, a lot of you must be knowing about it, the EFT tapping. So I decided to do that with the whole family, at least the 4 of them, the mother, father, and the 2 girls. And I did it on Zoom. And the connection was really bad that day. And soon after, I got a message from the mother, and she said that my 11-year-old client reacted very, very badly to the tapping and had a big tantrum after that. So again, I found myself going into the blue zone. And again, I had to say, okay, so I did that, I did that, I tried that. And it didn't quite work out. So again, I told myself, let me see what good I can make out of this. And I wrote her a letter to apologize. And again, strangely, there's been a long break after that session, but strangely, she's been doing well. So Karen, can we go into the next slide, please? Yes, so I don't want you to worry too much about the technical terms. The green zone and the blue zone are the parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system. The red zone is the sympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system. Don't worry too much about that. You can read up on that at any time. But just now, if you can think about these 3 zones for you, and think about your parenting journey, if you like, or think about your journey of being parented, if you like, and think about one incident or one thing that happens that takes you to each of these zones. And take just 5 minutes to symbolize it in some way with colors, lines, shapes, or just a stick drawing or any kind of drawing. And I'm not sure if an example will help you. Along with the drawing, what I'd also like you to do is to complete 2 sentences in each zone with each drawing. And the 2 sentences are, the world is one sentence stem, and the other sentence stem is I am. The world is dash, 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 and I am dash, dash, dash. So shall I quickly give you all an example, or would you like to do it yourselves first?
I think it's great to give an example while people are working.
Okay. So when I am doing something creative with one of my children, it could be making tiramisu or embroidering something together, I feel really connected and lovely inside. That's my green zone. I think the world is beautiful and I'm feeling so good. One time recently, one of my girls and I had a fight, and she swore at me. So I screamed back at her and I said, "Don't swear at me." And, I was in the red zone. The world is scary and I am capable of facing it. And when any of the children all along, I wasn't aware of it while it was happening. I'm much more aware of it now, kind of in light of reading this theory. But when the children would say to me that you don't love me, that I don't love them, that would catapult me into the blue zone. And I would think the world is awful and I am just about done. So Karen, we'll give everyone 5 minutes to do the exercise and then breakout rooms.
Yeah. That's great.
Karen, can we have the slide again, please?
Of course. That was too quick. So sorry.
Thank you.
Pleasure. And I put the sentence starters in the chat in case you need them. The world is, right? And I am.
Yeah, thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Take another couple minutes. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that's hard to tell on Zoom.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Does everyone feel like they have a good sense of this? I'm going to be sharing the slides also, so that you have them for your reference. Oh, here it is. Look at that beautiful slide. It's so nice. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, how's everyone doing with your drawing and the sentence starters? You need another couple minutes? Yeah, Seema, will you repeat the instructions?
So Patrick, I want you to identify one incident that takes you to each of the zones. One incident for the green zone, one incident for the red zone, and one incident for the blue zone. Anything in your experience of being parented or working with children in your care, or go with anything. And for each of the zones, as you just symbolize the incident, also fill in these, complete these two sentences for each zone. The world is, and I am.
And then in the breakout rooms, which I'll do in a minute, they should share each one, yeah?
Yeah, just share each one and what, again, the outcome of the exercise and also the experience of doing the exercise.
Okay, great.